Hello everyone, good morning. Good morning. Good morning to the first ever Explore and Draw online. Welcome. My name's Luna Gigo, and Explore and Draw was created to help everyone, encourage everyone to connect to their inner creative. Hi Joe, I can see you've just popped up. Joe made some fantastic papers. She made them, I've got it here actually. You used fruit tea, didn't you? You used coffee, inks, watercolour and cinnamon. So if you haven't seen the video that I put out on Wednesday about how to colour your papers, then please just go on Explore and Draw after this video and have a look. And it's something you can do for yourself or with your children, and then you can join in. Explore and Draw online is going to be running all day, but I'm not going to be on here all day, but I am going to post a video now and then again at 12 o'clock, and then I'll pop back maybe about 2, and then at the end I want everyone, or as you go through the day, post your pictures that you're creating and we'll put them on the Explore and Draw wall. And then when you've done all your still lifes or your pictures that you've created throughout the day, whatever you want to do, keep posting them, and I'm going to put them all in a really big folder and share that. So that's going to encourage everybody to have a day of creativity, which is what I really wanted to do today, is just encourage you, because even though we're home all the time, it doesn't mean that we're being creative. We could be doing lots of other things. Like me, I've been doing my taxes. So, you know, we've all got our stuff that we've got to do, and sometimes your creativity gets put to one side. Hi Sarah, I saw Katie, she was out in the garden, wasn't she? She had an easel like mine, bless her, and she was making all of her papers. Hi Angela, good morning to you. Thank you for joining us. Oh, this is wonderful, everyone's popping up. So you can just watch this video at any time. Jane, she created some paper. She soaked it in coffee and then she scrunched it up and she put it back in the coffee, and then when it came out the oven it reminded her of viola flowers, so she drew around those and painted those, and they were fantastic. Andre, she was at home in her kitchen doing all of her papers. They looked great. Rose Peters was with her 2 children at the kitchen table, and they just done loads. They really got into it, didn't they, Rose? That was brilliant. She's home educating, like I know a lot of you are. Victoria and Ben, they were there, they created. I loved those ones. They were very subtle, weren't they, some of those, and they're going to serve you well today. Carol, she had a whole table full really bright colours. You love your blue, don't you, Carol? And that was really fantastic. And Claire, she used cling film. I forgot about that one. Yeah, it was really fantastic. Who we got? We've got my mum, and we've got Bob. Hi Bob Lamoon. I wanted to give you a shout actually, because Bob's still doing the small reflections online, which is black and white photographs, and it's all about seeing, isn't it, Bob? We have long conversations when we meet, and Bob's always saying it's all about seeing, and still life is all about seeing. And Bob, he drew the same still life over and over every day, didn't you, Bob? And every day it changed and it was different, and it just showed you the endless possibilities that you could get out of that still life, and that's still going. It's called Small Reflections, and it's brilliant, and maybe I'm going to have time to do that. And so you might look around your house and see something that you didn't notice before, and take a photo and put it on Bob's site. We've got Andre. Hi Andre, I was just saying you're doing your beautiful papers. And Trish, hi Trish, thanks for the shout. I hope you're going to do this, and I hope you'll share it, and hopefully your grandchildren can do this as well. So I wanted to talk to you today about the beauty really and the wonder of still life. I linked people to a video on Vimeo that gives you the whole history of still life in a really wonderful, exciting way, and it gives you so much information, and I love that program. It was on iPlayer. It was called Apples, Pears and Paint. And it's fantastic. So look down on the wall later. You can watch that this evening. It's brilliant. Still life, there's lots of benefits to it. It's in the past, in the video, it will tell you it was always seen as the lesser art, but it's not. It's something that you can, it's very mindful. If you're sitting at home and you set yourself up a little still life, you can just focus on that one thing and forget about all the worries in the world. So it's very meditative. It's very relaxing. It's wonderful. You get to learn to appreciate the simple things in life, and I think we've all been doing that, haven't we? We've been at home and we've just been appreciating everything so much more, like family you can't be with, your friends you can't meet up with, and it's just little things like having a handmade bowl that someone made for you. You brought that at a craft fair, you know, a gift that someone gave you. You just appreciate all the little things around your house. I hope you've all got your Explore and Draw cup like me, because that's a good one to have. Who have we got? Hi Kathleen, I remembered I'm wearing my hat today. I've got it, it's wonderful. Look, let me show everyone. Isn't that great? Kathy, you can commission her to do any hat and she'll just get it bang on, because it's brilliant, brilliant milliner and artist. Hi Angela Turner, we showed your work the other day. I hope you're going to get in your studio today after this and you'll be inspired, and I'd like to see what you come up with. So the first known still life, I'm going to give you a little bit of history, was Caravaggio, this one of my absolute favourites. It's mentioned in the Vimeo video, The Art of Still Life, and that is just really beautiful. Now, that was painted in the 1500s. I believe it was his first and last ever still life. He was particularly good at life drawing, but that picture, I'd love to see it in real life, actually. It's just so beautiful. There's also this one, which is by Cotan, and this is called Quince, Melon and Cucumber. And this was created in the very early 1600s. And Cotan was a monk. And so he's looking at in his larder, and he's looking at all the, you know, he's set these up. They're like planets, aren't they? It's something quite magical about this, the way that it slopes as well. And I just absolutely love this. This has inspired me ever since I was at university. So I love this still life painting, beautiful. But today I wanted to talk, I've put some still lifes. Neil and I were out there and we were photographing just a few, but they're just to inspire you, really. You don't have to use those. You could print them off, you could put them on your phone or your computer, but they're just as an inspiration. So you don't have to use those, and I'll talk you through that as we go along. So one of them the first one that I want to talk about. Hi Claire. Morning everyone, very happy to be here. I'm glad you're here as well. It's lovely. Do you know I think we had about 900 views on the last video. So after this, share it and get everyone to have a look, and then hopefully they'll have a go and they'll treat themselves to a day of creativity and forget about the housework and cooking and everything like that. They'll just, well, cooking's quite creative, isn't it? So this one, I'm going to be talking to you today about tight and loose. It's lovely because I get a bit more time to talk about these things in a bit more detail. I know you hear me say it at an Explore and Draw event, some of you that come, but today I really get to discuss it in a bit more detail, which is really lovely. So I'm going to put this up here. That might be the wrong place in a minute. Now, the reason I chose a crystal ball, and it's a circle and it's the centre focus, so composition wise a circle is a lovely shape. If you wrap things around it, it can look lovely. It's a very good composition, a circle. If you work the page like a circle, yeah, it's good. So also I want you to imagine inside this crystal ball or around this crystal ball what a better world would look like, because I don't know about you, but I've been thinking about that. We go for a walk in the middle of nowhere in the country. We try to get out there every day or every other day just to get a bit of fresh air. And we're noticing things, you know, the animals, the birds, there's a peace, and nature seems to be thriving. And I've been thinking about that. So the crystal ball, what do you imagine, excuse me, to be a better future, you know, a better world? So with the circle, of course, you can, I'm going to use charcoal because it will show you can just do a circle. I'm not bad at doing circles, but if you wanted to do your circle was slightly bigger, if you draw like this, it can be quite hard, especially when you go bigger, to do that circle. Excuse me, I'm going to have some of my honey, lemon and ginger and turmeric tea. That's a good one to build your immunity. Makes you feel great as well. So when you hold your charcoal or your pencil like this and you do a circle, you notice I'm using my whole arm rather than just that tiny little bit. That's for detail, but this is a bit more, gives you a bit more movement. So if I was doing a circle, I could do that. It's gentle rocking motion. Obviously, I'm going from portrait to landscape, from portrait to landscape. But what it does is it just allows you to give that rock. You see that? Now, that could be quite hard. So you're almost using those fingers as sort of a pivot point. And then you're going round like that. And so that's your circle. So you put it in your paper wherever you'd like to. You can make it smaller, you can make it larger. And then around here, you can obviously, I've put a sheet. So if you've got your own crystal, you might have a crystal sphere. You might have some lovely sheets. These are great. You know, things like this. This is a lovely one. It's all gold. And then I've got a red one. So if you've got a scarf or a shawl, even if, you know, some of the guys, you've got an old rag in the garage, that can look quite nice on some things. Yeah. So, and then you're just going to draw this out. And then I'm going to talk about the painting and colour more at 12 o'clock. I just want you to have fun creating a lot of different things. But I've still got my food colourings here from the other day. So I know you've got your coloured papers. You're going to have to look at the still lifes and think, what one do I want to choose? What one will suit that paper? Because some of you have got some quite dark papers, so you might need some white paint out there to mix in with your colours. So if I was just bleeding this in with my watercolours, that could be quite nice. You know, if you put just the water in and then you just added your colour like that, and then all those beautiful, wonderful things would happen, and you can dry that with a hairdryer. So that can be nice. You can always build your colours up. So that's the coffee, actually. I've still got that in there. You can build all of these up. You would dry that, and then you would, oops, upside down. And then once that's dry, you might put in the areas there. So this is like, I'm working very quickly, but you see what I mean? Once that's dry, you could do that. And then you could start imagining your world inside that. Dry that off with a hairdryer, and then get some pencils. Maybe look at the marks that you've already got on the paper. Maybe they're complementing, they're reminding you of something. Like Jane, they reminded her of the viola flowers, didn't they? You might see something in your paper. So that's one of them, if you'd like to do that. That's the crystal ball challenge. Now, I'm all organised. I'm much more organised than when I give a talk, aren't I, Trish? Well, I hope so anyway. I hope I haven't cursed it. Right, so that's that one. This next one I thought would be good for the children, but anyone that loves cuddly toys. So these are the Swedish gnomes. They're wonderful, aren't they? Let's gotta go this way. Oh no, I'm not gonna, because I'm gonna show you something, sorry. Yeah, these come all the way from Sweden, and I'm really missing my daughter in Sweden. She was supposed to come over in April, and obviously she couldn't come over. But she sends me these every year, and they're just wonderful. So what I've done, sorry, I knew, even though I've practiced this, you still got to work it out on the day. So this is actually in the triangle, okay? I'm talking about a triangle grouping of objects. So if you've got your teddy, you can work on the single teddy, or you can get a grouping. And groupings sometimes look nice in three. Now, I know you'll see a little fourth, but I couldn't leave that one out. But in a way, it's like one, but there are two there. So you see it comes up to a point, so you've got the main character there and then the two, and I've sat it on this Swedish tin. It's beautiful, but Neil said you could imagine that being like a log, that they're sat on a log, and you could imagine their imaginary forest behind, couldn't you, children? That would be great, wouldn't it? Imagine where they live. Maybe you see their little village and you could draw their little village. So you can do it with your own teddies, or you can do these. Now, say you was just working on the single teddy like this. For those of you that don't know, I do this at every Explore and Draw, because someone's always drawing something that's like a bottle or something that's symmetrical. So if you can apply it to objects like this as well, this technique. So I'm just going to do the line down the middle. I'm going to do two, so I'm going to show you the bottle one there and this one here. So if I'm looking at this man, my little gnome, I actually worked it out that his hat is quite large and his body is about 3/4. So whatever size I do this, I know that 3/4 of it is his hat. Okay, so I'm going to do the triangle there, because that's roughly his shape. I'm going to talk to you about breaking things down into shapes. And if I just done here, like this, so we're going to draw it down. I've done that a bit, and then I'm going to slightly widen that. And I will turn it upside down, but I don't need to for this because it's quite simple. I'll show you on the bottle, like that. And then I'm going to put his very defining nose in there. And then his arms, so you see this bit here, and put another circle where his jumper is. And then that gives me the position of his arms. So I can pop his arms in like that. Now can you see that very quickly I've managed to create this little man without spending too much time, spending ages on him. And this is what I want you to think about when you do your composition. I know, Andre, you map and measure and you take the time to do this, but if you want it to look like what you're doing, you need to map and measure it. If you don't want it, if you don't mind, a child will just sit there and draw it very quickly. And I'm also going to talk to you about that later, about doing a continuous line drawing and even doing one with your eyes shut. Sometimes the ones with my eyes shut are the ones that are better than the ones that I sat there and studied for an hour. So it's that lovely, isn't it, that balance between the tight and the loose way of drawing. Oh, let's have a look here, because I haven't scrolled down for a little while and I noticed my friend said that. Hi Justy, nice to see you. Hi Keris, I'm pleased you're here. Hi Anna, I hope you're looking after yourself. Those dinners look delicious, don't they, that are getting delivered to you? Oh, they look so good. Hi Carol, you done fantastic loads, didn't you, of your papers? They look really great. Hi Sean. Small Reflections is on Facebook, that's right, it is. Also, my month of drawing the same still life is available on my Instagram page, Robert Lamoon. Yeah, check that out and you'll see what Bob's talking about, seeing, the art of seeing, really. Hi Sue, nice to see you. Oh, this is lovely. Hi, Paige. Oh, it's lovely to see you on here, darling. I hope you're going to get your drawing materials out in between your fitness. Oh, this is really uplifting when you see everyone on here. And Bridget, hi, Bridget. I hope you're photographing everything. And Natasha, you made a bag yesterday. That looked quite simple. I'm going to have a go at that. Hi, Manachi. Sorry if I said that wrong, but hello. I hope your little girl's having fun at home. Miriam. Oh, there's loads of people here. Hi, Harry. Oh, there's loads. Hi, Mandy. Let's have a look. What did Paige say up there? Sorry about this. That's my daughter. Here she is. Oh, she's going to do some tattoo designs tonight. Yeah, do that, Paige. Do some and post them, and I'll share it on the wall, and then other people might do something like that. So this is the little man from Sweden. I'm also missing my daughter Paige, aren't I? Because she went in the army and then she got sent home because of this. So she's going to go back in after, but I can't see her. You know, you've got to keep the risks down, haven't you? So now, if you was applying this to a bottle, I'm going to show, I know lots of you know this, but some of you don't. It's quite useful. And we've got a jug if you wanted to do the fruit and vegetable still life. So say, for example, I was doing a bottle. I do this sphere. You notice how I'm doing this? I'm not doing that. I'm actually moving my whole arm. So if I'm just doing this, you can see these videos online. They're really helpful, actually. Say your bottle was like this shape. Then I always say to people, turn it upside down, because that gives you another perspective. Oh, that's a funny noise, isn't it? And then you do that, and then when you turn it back, you still might have to do a few adjustments. Yeah? And then if you make this piece darker at the front of the sphere, that's as if you're looking down on something, which you most probably will be if you're doing your still life. I know he's sat up there, I'm looking up to him, but you'd most probably be looking down on your still life. And if you do the back one darker, let's see if we can make this work. Ooh, pressing too hard. That would be, you know, you could imagine a light bulb in there, couldn't you, as if you're looking up. I hope you can see the difference. So this is worth remembering, because a lot of people do that if they do bottles, whereas it's more like this. So that's the gnome. Now, we've got a grouping of gnomes, haven't we? So let me just, sorry about the scrunch, scrunch, crackle, crackle. I have got other paper, but like I said to you before, I'm trying to be bit more careful with the materials. I don't want Explore and Draw to run out of stuff. So when I say about breaking things down into shapes, this will apply to lots of drawings. And when you're out drawing like Trish does with the Rochester and West Kent Art Society, they go everywhere. And you're breaking things down into shape. You're mapping and measuring things. So if we think about this, it's a triangle, isn't it? This shape, that's why I've chose it. So if you do the triangle on your piece of paper, I'm going to leave a gap at the top, because what I realise is sometimes you don't get it quite right. And if you have a gap at the top, so even if you left yourself like a border around your paper like that, that gives you a little bit of room for error, really. And then, because you might get the V slightly wider, it's not so long. So if I just put the V in like this, and then I've got to see, I've got to use my measuring techniques, is how many of his heads go into that. 1, 2.5. So we go 1, 2 and a bit. So it's about there. So I'm just going to very simply put in the shapes. Okay, distinctive thing like a nose. I don't want to put too much detail. So, if you mimic the line, you get it better. So I can see that his ear slightly comes outside of that. And then I'm going to come down here. I noticed this angle the other day wasn't quite what I thought it was. So you're using everything as a reference. Can you see that? So if I was to draw a line across like this, this would help give you your references. So you're going to be using the diagonal lines going down. I'm so pleased I can show you this now, because I don't always get time to show everyone at the events. So this will help me map and measure. So we've got a hat here and a hat here. So I'm just going to put those shapes in. They might not be right. If you're sitting there thinking, that's not quite right, Luna, that's not in the right space, that's fantastic, because that means you've got the eye, you can see it. And I will see it shortly. So we've got, if we look at his hats, that bit big, the hat's about the same size as the tin. Let me use something that's going to give me that mark. So let's just say that's going to be about there, because it is about a third of the page. So I'm just sitting these teddies, these little gnomes on here, and I'm just mapping out where they are in relation to this. Now obviously you'd have to print this off to do this, but in your mind's eye, if you didn't have a printer and you're just working from your phone, I'd like you to think about what I'm doing, and that will help you if you want to do like an exact copy. That's a bit nearer. And then I'm going to do his legs. Oh, I want to do it quite quickly because I don't want to do this video too long. Now what you can do is, once you've got sort of some, that's his little scarf, it was blowing in the wind, it was really windy out there when we took this photo. So rather than get zoomed in to all the detail of the drawing and then realise, it's not quite right, it didn't look like what I wanted it to, and getting frustrated and throwing it in the bin. If you work very quickly mapping things out on your paper, you won't get that frustration because you'll make the corrections early on. And if you get a difficult spot, you work that difficult spot out early on. Like I say, this is only if you want an exact copy, or not an exact copy, but you know, get it as good as you can. So when you turn, the reason I've turned the board on the side is to see if I've made any errors. So this way I can check that back. Oh yeah, that tin comes down there a bit more. I'm going to give it a horizon. That's the scarf. Yeah, possibly his head might be a bit higher there. So that's the changes that I can make. I can also follow that down. That comes out a bit more there. And then every time I turn that round, I will forget that it's a gnome, and I will just see the shapes. So you've got to forget what it is you're looking at to find it. Yeah, that was Monet, wasn't it? I never remember that quote, but I do love it. Something about forgetting. Now, once you've done all your little corrections, I'm going to leave it at that because I've got other things I want to discuss with you. Then I would squint my eyes at the composition, and I would look for all the dark areas. So looking at this composition, I can see that this is dark here, this area. And I can see that this is dark in here. Now, I know a lot of you know this already, but I'm obviously doing this video, going to share it on Instagram, not Instagram, on YouTube, and add it to my channel. So some people might not know this. I know a lot of you do, so bear with me. Okay, so I've been looking for all the areas of dark. And that's how I would start that one off, okay? Now, charcoal's lovely because you can blend it and I can show you quite quickly. So that would be that one. The next one is a bit more difficult. I'm dreading this one, really. This is the fruit bowl. Now, this fruit was given to me by Kathy. And it's really lovely. It's not real, it's fake fruit, but it looks great, doesn't it? And we've got the bowl here. We have this bowl in Explore and Draw. I couldn't find my copper jug. I don't know where that's gone, so I'm using this beautiful one that my daughter Paige bought for me. Well, what we got there? Oh, learnt a lot already. Oh, that's good, Jenny. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you, Jenny. Thanks, Joe. That's lovely. Words of encouragement and support. Sorry, let me just give that to Neil. He's writing these things down because you don't get a chance to do everything. That's the problem. Hi, Claire. How are you? Lovely to see you. So this fruit is beautiful, but the composition is more difficult. So if you're doing this at home and you haven't drawn a lot and you just want to have a go with the children, why don't you just get 3 bits of fruit or 3 vegetables, like I showed you in the triangle sort of shape composition, and work it like that. So maybe a pear, an apple and a lemon, something, or you could do it with vegetables. So work on that, but this is a little bit more complicated. Again, it's all about breaking things down into shapes. So if I was to do my safety net, really, is to draw my line inside. You would use a pencil. You might use charcoal. I mean, you can go in with water on charcoal. You can do that. And if I'm painting on a canvas, I would go in with charcoal and then seal it with milk. That's quite an old, hot milk, that's an old technique. And so here, let's have a look at this picture. So you're looking at the still life. You've heard this saying, haven't you? Put it in a box. So let's put it in a box. How am I doing for time? Oh, half an hour already. I'm going to wrap this up shortly. So we'll do this, then we'll wrap it up, and I'll see you again at 12. Well, you would have had your coffee by now, wouldn't you? And your biscuit, but you've got to provide your own today and your own cake as well. So that's it. So if I split this into 3s, now you can do this if you print it off, but try and do it in your mind's eye if not. So that will help you. So you've got here, if I do the same here, oh, sorry, my thirds are not very good. And because it's angled, it will look like, it doesn't look like that to me. They're a bit more equal. So I know. Now, we not only use these downward lines, the vertical lines, we use the horizontal lines. These are all points of reference. Okay, so we know that the pot, let me get my head, sorry, because I've done those. Right, so don't worry about all the shape of the pot at the moment. Just put it in as a chunk. Don't worry about that nozzle. Do that later, okay? Now, and you can do the bottle drawing technique later that I showed you. Then I'm going to use this negative space here to help me work out. I'm forgetting that it's a fruit bowl and I'm just seeing it as a shape. Yeah? Now, if I said, right, okay, that is 1, 2, 3. So we 1, 2. So if we split that into thirds, that's about where my first one is. 2. These will help me. That's it. Right. So if I follow this line along, that will be the top of my leaves. I was trying to get a little bit of a Caravaggio in there, but obviously he's the master. I haven't quite got it. I'm going to very quickly put my shape of the pear, my shape of the lemon, my shape of the other pear, the other lemon, and the grapes. I'm almost seeing those like these triangles like that. Oh, hold on, what have I done here? This is what I mean. This is, you don't spend too much time. Now the apple, let's place that. That will be a point. That might be right, it might not. So the grapes are there. I've got to remember to keep smiling. I didn't really like this angle of my face when I watched it back. Right, so the slope here, I can see this slope, so maybe they come out. But you see, I'm not spending too much time on anything. I always think this needs to be higher. I don't know, maybe it's just my eye. And then you can add that on after. Always add the handle and the spout on after. Now, that's a very quick drawing. Very, very quick. Just to get it all, a couple of minutes I took, didn't I, really? If you was at home, you could take a bit longer, but don't take too long. Because when you turn it, you might notice some things that you didn't see before. Now, if your child just wants to do this, what you're doing, don't be sitting there telling them all this unless they really want to know. Because what you can do is you can stop creativity with the tightness of the drawing, okay? And children, they've got this lovely, they're free, aren't they? They're not inhibited by anything. So let that's something that myself, I love working in that really free way, as you know, with my automatic drawing. So don't stop that. So here I can tell I'm way off with my handle. Bob most probably saw that ages ago. He'll see loads of other things because he's a fantastic artist and he's been drawing a very long time. So is Simon Mills, he'll be looking. I love to see yours, Simon, because you've been putting your cupboards up, haven't you? And I know lots of you have been following the Waghorn Says. That's been brilliant. I'm hoping I'm going to have a bit more time to actually enjoy that and have a go. So now I'm putting in these dark areas because I can, from this angle, I don't see it as a fruit bow anymore. I see it as a shape. So I think we could be here. Right, turn it that way. Let me just have a quick look. You see, every time I turn it, I see something new. Oh, that's totally the wrong angle. It's good to make mistakes. If you make mistakes, you learn. You know, I don't sit and draw still life every day, but it is a wonderful tool to use to teach people. And obviously, if you wanted to work straight in with your watercolours at this point, or your paints, you can. I'm going to talk a little bit about colour later. Like a little fake figure now. So very quickly, I'm quite happy with that for the few minutes that it took me. I hope that's helped. Yeah, let me just see, Niels. Oh yes, what I did want to say, I forgot to say this in the last video. If you are able and you want to support me and to see more of these videos, because we're really enjoying making them, then buy me a coffee. I've shared it on my site. I forgot to mention it last time, and thank you to everybody that has bought me a coffee. That's so amazing. I really appreciate it. If you've just joined us or you've joined us later, you'll be able to re-watch this video. I'm going to come back at 12 o'clock. I've got a lot to do because I spent all of the week preparing this, and I want to talk to you about a little bit about colour theory. Before I go, there's one more thing I want to say. Once you've done your lovely detailed drawing, if that's what you're going to do, in the course of the day, and I'd love you to share it, I then want you to do your continuous line drawing. So if I was doing the name, you don't take the pencil off of the page and you just do a continuous line. It makes it very quick, like this, yeah? So that's your continuous line. I'd also like you to do one with your eyes shut. I'm imagining that little gnome. I'm imagining him. I have no idea what he looks like. There you go. See, quite often I prefer the one with my eyes shut. So I'd like you to have a go at that as well, because if you get stuck into doing all that mapping and measuring, it's exhausting. You would have looked at it so long that when you shut your eyes, you remember it better than your brain. Your brain's telling you the wrong thing quite often. Okay, I hope that helps, and I'll see you at 12 o'clock. And post your progress. That will encourage others. And then we'll post a big folder at the end. Thank you so much, and I'll see you later. Bye.